To make a good movie, you must first create a good story. Main Street is such a good story. By Derjin Yi. Most films are visual stories in nature, so the first step is to have an idea that you want to make into a film. One weekend in June, when I took the No. 7 train from Manhattan to Flushing early in the morning, I got out of the subway, and at the intersection of Main Street and Roosevelt Avenue, I was shocked by the emptiness. There was almost no one there. The shops were all closed, and there was nowhere to go to buy a cup of coffee, milk tea, or soy latte. The bright lights last night and the endless street foods disappeared without a trace. I was stunned. Standing at the crossroads, I suddenly felt the same kind of loss like the fisherman in Peach Blossom Spring. The fisherman stumped into a peaceful and prosperous Peach Blossom Spring, the Chinese utopia, the night before, but he would never be able to find the way back, although he had left marks along the way. At that instant, my memory took me back to Shenzhen Luo Port in 1997. Since 1993, I had been recruiting super talents for investment banks on Wall Street in Hong Kong to build their presence in Asia. Sometimes I would take a boat from Luo Port to Shenzhen on Friday nights. The Four Seasons in Hong Kong cost USD $425 a night and Shenzhen less than USD $10. Why don't save? It was very hot and stuffy in Shenzhen in July, and the air conditioner in the small hotel room was not good, so I couldn't sleep when I walked out. I turned 2 corners and suddenly came to a broken-down wall. Look, the inside of the wall was very lively. Many small vendors were yelling, and the roadside taverns were full of people inside and out under the dizzy streetlights. Nearby, a thin young man was holding a little boy. Both of them were shirtless. The bodies of the father and son were joined by drops of sweats. In front of them, a young woman was frying a plate of scallions and diced pork for the guests who took a break from their load, the carrying poles aside on the pavement. I bought a pair of plastic slippers from a peddler on the side of the road, took off the white high-heeled shoes, held them in my hands, and walked through the entire night market until I came to an open farmland. Urban village. I remembered the special term to describe China's massive urbanization movement in the 90s. Many years later, when I came back here again, there were shining skyscrapers everywhere, and I couldn't find the north or directions. Main Street and Roosevelt Avenues in less than an hour saw the almost empty intersection once again filled with people. A ghost town turned into a live city with the sunrise. The hustle and bustle started. All kinds of people with all kinds of colors emerged from everywhere, and goods were changing hands: hats, glasses, handbags, scarves of copies of various brands. Old and young were selling all types of ads were thrusted into the pedestrians, posters of insurance, air tickets, education, training programs, applications for Chinese visas and re-entry permits, the application for red, white, and blue Medicare cards, ways to receive government relief, and whatnot. A person doesn't have to step out of this area to spend his lifespan of 100 years. Several banks next to each other around the intersection are now open, and people came in and out, all in a hurry. Different from Luo Port in Shenzhen in 1997 was the huge diversity in ethnics: Chinese, Spanish, Indians, Pakistanis, Jews, Irish. Everywhere under the sun, they were busy making a living. Not a single beggar in sight. Pandemic was over. Flushing was bursting out with such vitality and hope that it was palpable on every single storefront and in every person's step. People of all ages were all busy with their own livelihoods and spoke their own languages, yet everyone understood each other. Perhaps among these endless streams of people, there is also the young family of 3 in Luohu Urban Village. Maybe the little boy in his father's arms 26 years ago now is a young owner of one of the fashionable restaurants in the World Mall in front of me. After they had rebuilt up their small fishing village and turned the poor county into an international metropolis, now they are rebuilding Flushing, a new home in a new country they have adopted to be their own. I stepped into the nearby McDonald's, bought a cup of coffee, and poured my thoughts on my cell phone. My Main Street. McDonald's you might consider to be the first to sponsor Main Street stories. You have witnessed the ups and downs of this community. You have endured its sad past and now proudly serve the great neighborhood. The #1 overseas Chinese community in the world, the first stop for the Chinese coming to America. You see the changes that are taking place on Main Street before your very eyes, and in every steamy cup of coffee you made and every Big Mac you sold, and you have sold a lot. Main Street and Times Square share almost the same amount of footprints daily. I didn't even have to write any plots. The past 7 months saw the greatest efforts in promoting the Family Film Awards show, and CBS finally agreed to put the show on the air during the Christmas time. Almost 30,000 residents in Flushing and I participated in the 32 community cultural events hosted by DYF Entertainment that owns Family Film Awards. As we drumly told our stories to the Main Street media, we also learned that the roots of our Chinese culture could take new roots and become an integral part of American melting pot. Unlike the Little Mermaid who longs to walk on the land where humans walk, we love to be part of America, but we don't have to lose our voice. I found it the day when I yelled at my daughter who dyed her hair brilliant red. She looked at me with so much sadness and anger and said, "They judged you because of your skin color. Now you were judging me of my hair color." Thus, the boundless love and flushing around me gave birth to Main Street, a TV series, a story of heartbreaks, hope, and rebirth.